News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
There's a drought emergency in parts of Montana. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning for Monday, June 26, 2017. Skies partly cloudy, beautiful cloud formations out there this morning. Really pretty. It's 53 degrees. Going to be a hot one with a high of 92 degrees. Pretty good chance of an afternoon thunderstorm that could bring some strong winds, maybe even a little hail. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Again, it's 53 degrees. Our newscast this morning sponsored by First Montana Bank. That's your home for free centennial checking, unlimited cash back whenever you use their debit card. Governor Steve Bullock has declared a drought emergency in 19 counties in eastern Montana and 2 Native American reservations. The governor's office said in a statement Friday those areas have seen record low precipitation, high temperatures, and excessive wind over the last 2 months. Bullock says farmers and ranchers are feeling the effects of a winter of below average rain and snow in that part of the state. Oats, wheat, peas, sugar beets, and other crops have suffered. Pasture and range conditions are poor. Dust has made it difficult for ranchers to keep track of cattle. The governor is also requesting federal officials make agricultural producers eligible for Department of Agriculture emergency livestock and conservation assistance programs. The federal agency authorized emergency grazing on Conservation Reserve Program lands in Montana on Friday. Law enforcement officials in northwestern Montana have released the name of a woman whose body was found in the Flathead River last week. The Flathead County Sheriff's Office says 68-year-old Cassie Lynn Browning's family reported her missing from the Hungry Horse area June 10th. Her body was found 10 days later near Columbia Falls. Sheriff's officials said Friday Browning's cause of death is still under investigation. And the body of a California man missing from a Montana campsite has been found in a lake just north of Yellowstone Park. Gallatin County Sheriff Brian Goodkin said the man's body was found Friday underwater at about 300 feet from shore of Hebgen Lake near his campsite. An investigation indicates the 68-year-old man from Burbank, California, may have gone into the water to retrieve a pontoon fishing boat that had blown away. Searchers began looking for the man Thursday after receiving a report of a vehicle parked in a day-use area. Investigators found a pontoon boat beached nearby. Officers did not release the man's name. The cause of death still under investigation. In 2016, the University of Montana hired Dr. Tom Crady as Vice President for Enrollment and Student Affairs, and he began working immediately to bring more new students to campus. Before outlining some of the tools his department has been using to draw new students, Crady gave a brief outline of what he expects to see when the fall semester begins.
People paying their housing deposits are up over last year. We'd had a tremendous recruiting season, and we feel like we're on track. We still have a lot of work to do, and we do know that the overall enrollment of the institution will be down because of the large graduating class, but we're feeling hopeful that the incoming class will be larger than last year.
Crady said the winter and spring is the time when most students are seriously considering where to attend college. However, the efforts are just as strong in the summer.
A lot of students make their decisions, a couple months ago, and so we really want to have people come and visit. We have an orientation coming up on Thursday, and we're seeing really high numbers with that. So my advice always is go visit where you want to go to school so you get a good feel of it, and if it feels right, then go there. But if it doesn't feel right, don't go there. That's where I've seen most students transfer.
UM's enrollment has been steadily decreasing over the last few years, leading to reductions in state funding, faculty, and staff. Officials have introduced 2 rounds of voluntary retirement offers with a small percentage of faculty acceptance. Fall of 2016 enrollment was 12,416, a reduction of 4.8%. Environmental groups are planning to give President Donald Trump's Interior Department Secretary an unexpected homecoming when he returns to Montana this week. Ryan Zinke is scheduled to address the Western Governors Association's annual conference tomorrow on the town of Whitefish. He'll be welcomed by billboards that urge him not to touch the Upper Missouri River breaks, one of 24 national monuments he's reviewing to eliminate or scale back protections. Television ads will tell him to leave alone a conservation plan by the Obama administration and 11 western states to protect the sage grouse, an imperiled bird. Public land advocates also will speak at the park the day before Zinke's address. Various groups are hoping to get the attention of Zinke and 11 governors gathering today through Wednesday. Attorneys for convicted murderer Marcus Karma have appealed their case to the U.S. Supreme Court, in that the Montana Supreme Court failed to order a new trial in a different venue. Due to over 1,000 media articles prior to the trial that attorney Nate Holloway says poisoned the local jury pool.
Essentially, it's our opinion, that the Montana Supreme Court applied a higher standard without, essentially saying that we had to prove that he couldn't get a fair trial versus a reasonable likelihood that he couldn't get a fair trial. And they omitted that standard in our opinion, whereas they've used it as recently as 2016 in a case called State versus Grigo, where they did apply that standard.
Holloway also objected to his client not being allowed to use a defense of an occupied structure.
If the state can raise an affirmative defense for you, that's a problem. And they essentially, the court turned it on what evidence was presented, etc. But the bottom line is, in closing, the state got to argue that our client didn't feel like he was going to die. So as a result, he couldn't use deadly force, which totally contradicts Montana's occupied structure law.
Karma was convicted in 2015 of the shotgun slaying of 17-year-old German exchange student Darren Dede and sentenced to 70 years in prison with no possibility for parole. The Montana Public Service Commission voted last Thursday to cap the length of long-term electricity supply arrangements to just 10 years, whereas a typical contract used to be 25 years. Commissioner Roger Koopman said the long-term contracts have been hurting ratepayers.
The ratepayers really kind of, frankly, been taking it in the shorts because these long-term contracts are not justified. A great example is what happened recently with solar projects that wanted to rush into the state and take advantage of these standard rates that were set at $66 per megawatt hour.
Those $66 per megawatt hour rates were calculated years ago, but Koopman said that recent calculations put the cost much lower.
We have it down to a rate of more like $31 during high peak, high demand times, and $23 when it's a lower demand period. Solar projects were going to rush in and take advantage of old rates that were set, like 4 or 5 years ago, that were 2 and 3 times higher than what they should have been. And guess who pays for that? The ratepayer.
Under the new system, contracts will not only be capped at 10 years, but a recalculation is required after 5 years. The contract cap was pushed by the Montana Consumer Council. Missoula County Public Schools are still dealing with a complaint of gender discrimination for allegedly not supporting Sentinel High School's softball team. Superintendent Mark Thane says one of the complaints came from a lack of water.
There's not water available at the softball fields, and the student or the coach had to actually provide water, haul it in. That's true for many of the activities at Sentinel. We don't have water to those Sentinel fields. So whether it's the football teams practicing, the boys or girls soccer teams, the tennis teams, or the softball team, all of them haul their own water out there.
The complaint was originally filed with the Montana High School Association. Thane says they've not yet received the written report, but his understanding verbally is that the complaint is considered to be without merit.
The Office of Civil Rights received the same complaint, and they have a very thorough investigative process. It will take months. But again, I'm really confident that we're going to come out of it okay. It may cause us to look at procedures. That's perfectly fine. I think we're certainly open to some constructive criticism if necessary.
According to Thane, the complaint was referenced as gender bias, but he says it's really about overall support. Finally, Missoula's Newstalk KGVO took home 3 major awards at Saturday night's Montana Broadcasters Association convention. The Greater Montana Foundation presents the E.B. Craney Excellence in Radio and Television Awards every year at the MBA convention held at Big Sky, Montana. KGVO's Montana Morning, this program, was chosen by a team of out-of-state judges as the newscast of the year, and our coverage of the Washington family that was carjacked last spring won Best News Story. Talkback was the runner-up for Commercial Radio Program of the Year, and our sister station, Kiss FM, was runner-up for Best Radio Station Website. Our News Talk time now is 6:13.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Another hot one today in Missoula, a high of 92 degrees. There is a chance for some rain and thunderstorms later this evening. Lows tonight in the 60s. Tomorrow, another warm one, a high almost near 80. I'm Barrett Tryon for NBC Montana.